Oh, yeah. Give me a second here. I'm not fully set up. Welcome to the Democratic People's Republic of GambleTown. Our commissar, Tony Martin,
Hello.
has just been winning and winning and winning. I won last week, but I could not I got my armies to the capital of Gambletown to try to take over, but I could not get the coup I wanted. So Tony's going to be taking over, but before we start, I just want to run some numbers with you.
Yeah,
So
keep it going.
just so you guys know, like on the season, we are 104 and 91 on our top 5 bets of the week. Last week, last week, Ryan and Tony both were 3-2. I was 0-5 with the worst fucking luck you'll ever see. And yes, it was bad luck. I mean, 2 injuries and missing Tua's line by a fucking yard because they
Yeah.
pulled him. That's the second time this season that a quarterback has been pulled because he was too successful against the team he was playing. And I didn't
What a
play
wonderful
over.
feeling.
What was that?
What a wonderful feeling for actual football teams, but not
Right?
for
Yeah, it's
gambling.
like it's so annoying that like you were right and you still lost money. But you
Yep.
know, it happens. Having said that, over the last 4 weeks, I am still 12-8. Ryan and Tony are 15-5 over their last 2 weeks, which is just fire. And of course, over the last 4 weeks, we are 42-18, which means even if you just took my bets along with theirs, you're still hitting at a 2-to-1 ratio, which means you're doubling your money every time, and that's what you want.
Which
So
means
I
you should
stand
be
by it.
listening.
Yep, and two of our we were 2-1 on our millionaire bets. 0-6 on parlays. We missed every parlay except for one by one leg. So that kind of sucks, but it happens.
Yep. Do you want to just hop in? Let's start looking at these games.
I think it's time to hop in. Yeah, let's see what's going on because I will say this. I like this week's slate. There were some fun things and I'm here for it.
All right.
Through that, people who are playing the Cardinals usually are a good matchup for betting. I want
Yep.
Cardinals in Washington here. I'm sad because if Washington was playing, I would be looking at the quarterback and wide receivers playing Washington.
And any running back playing against the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
And I on the other hand am kind of off this week's slate. I feel like there's going to be a lot of slop this week. So there's only a few, maybe a handful of games that I really like, but let's go through them.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
We're
the
going to
weather does
start
agree with you.
We're going to start with the Rams going to Baltimore. Baltimore 7.5-point home favorites. A Rams road upset will be plus 290 on the money line. The total's 39.5. Before we get started, the forecast: heavy rain tomorrow in Baltimore. Poor field conditions, potential postponements, and 59 degrees.
This is another situation like the Jets game. That I'm looking at. I pulled up the weather for Baltimore really quick. So all in all, between tomorrow morning and tomorrow night, they're supposed to get about close to maybe a little over 2 inches of rain, maybe more in some spots. There must be a giant system pushing through the East Coast because even in the Meadowlands, they're supposed to get upwards of like 3 inches of rain too. So East Coast game's going to be really tough this week.
So, well, while you're on a roll, why don't you tell us if you got anything in this game? Doesn't sound like it.
Well, actually, it bodes well for the rushing. And one of the bets that I agree with Tony this week that we were talking about last night on the TH Fantasy podcast was it's going to be a Mitchell week, and 42.5 yards seems a little low for someone who's kind of taken over the backfield. Gus is still getting work, and he's potentially going to get the carries within the 5 yard line. But Mitchell's, I think, good for at least 42.5 rush yards in a game that is going to have to rely on the run, and Baltimore already does that anyway. But other than that, I really don't like a lot of the lines in this game. I might take a Gus touchdown or Mitchell touchdown, but
Okay.
I like Mitchell's over 42.5.
I think it is worth pointing out that last week, Keaton Mitchell had 46% of the snaps for the Baltimore Ravens. That was a significant increase. The week before, he basically was in a timeshare, like 38% for Gus Edwards, 36% for Keaton Mitchell. So, Evan Hoovler is a Baltimore Ravens fan, and he has been screaming all year that that was going to be Keaton Mitchell's job. And he has a way of being right on his sleeper picks.
Yeah.
At the end of the season, come playoff time, those guys that he's been holding all season that you're like, why don't you cut him? They win him playoff games.
They
So
do.
it's definitely
Yeah.
like Keaton Mitchell was not really on my radar, but once I like kind of looked, because once I saw Tony had that bet, I'm like, okay, that's the one guy he had that I wasn't already looking at, and I'm like,
Sure.
this is interesting, and then I was like, oh, this is real interesting. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
with you.
Right.
It's an interesting bet. I will also
Right.
say the under at 39.5 feels like a pretty solid play here.
Sure. I would might be hesitant to bet the spread because it's at 7.5, and
Yeah,
like
because
you
it could
said,
be a low
this
scoring game.
yeah, it could be low scoring and Baltimore wins by 3, 4 points. But I will say though that the Rams are 0-3 against the spread in their past 3 games as an underdog. So if you feel lucky, take that plus 7.5. But I'm gonna be hesitant to bet that.
I mean, you can get plus odds if you take the Baltimore money line with the under. You can get plus
Yeah,
114, which I don't think is too bad.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me talk my Keaton Mitchell shit because his over at 42.5 rushing yards is one of my top 5 bets of the week. I'm about to make you more knowledgeable about Keaton Mitchell than anyone you've ever met. First off, this week, per fantasy points data suite, the Ravens have the number 1 projected rush grade, which is when they mix yards before contact per attempt versus the defense's yards before contact allowed. Ravens are second in the league in terms of how much space a running back has before he's touched first, and the Rams are give up the 5th most. So this already screams mismatch on the lines. Keaton Mitchell, after contact, he leads all ball carriers with 35 or more touches in yards after contact with 7.5.
Wow.
Um, among all running backs with 25 or more touches, he's second in yards per rush, first in missed tackles forced per rush, first in touchdown rate, and first in explosive rush rate. Now, you see a rain game, and you think there's a chance that he gets 10 or 15 carries, and with that great run blocking advantage that they have and his ability to make dudes miss in a weather system that says they're already going to be missing since it's wet, 42.5. This is one of those things where we could be watching Red Zone at 12:03 and they're like Keaton Mitchell with a 50-yard run. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, Keaton Mitchell's over is one of my top 5 plays of the week. So that's all I have from this game. All right, you guys ready to move on?
Sure.
All right.
Already.
Carolina going to New Orleans. New Orleans 5.5-point home favorites with whatever's left of Derek Carr. Carolina upset would be plus 220 and the line's 38.5. Waleed, why don't you go first?
I'm going to actually defer here because while I did have a top
Oh,
5 bet of the week that almost made the cut but didn't make it, I know that you have one. So I'll let you guys cover this because there's only one play here that I'm interested in this game.
All right, Ryan, go ahead, baby.
sure. One of I don't have any top 5 bets of the week, but if it was top 6 bets of the week, it'd probably my 6th bet would probably be Kamara's over 4.5 receptions.
Ooh.
I have a sneaky feeling about this game that the Panthers are gonna win. All right. It seems like New Orleans the players have given up on their coaches. And I just got a bad feeling that Carolina's gonna win this game. And the Saints are the only team yet to cover the spread at home this season. They're 0-5.
Yikes.
Yeah,
Can I say, Ryan, I've been having the exact same feeling. This feels like that
right?
game, like after New England won and Arizona won, I'm like, I kind of feel like Carolina's going to win just to make it interesting.
Right. So even if say the Saints win, I feel like they're gonna continue that streak and not cover. So the Carolina Panthers plus 5.5 looks pretty spicy to me. I might do that. And if I go along with the narrative that I think Carolina's gonna win, Kamara's gonna have like I don't know, 7, 8, 9, 10 receptions. So that 4.5 seems really low. Um, but other than that, I don't have too much in this game. I am never betting on Adam Thielen again. And this will probably be the game that he has 100 yards and a touchdown.
Dude, I said
But
the same thing last week.
I know. Um, but yeah, Kamara's 4.5 receptions and Panthers plus 5.5.
All right. One of my one of my degenerates gambit lines this week, it was the under when it was at 37.5. It's now at 38.5. What a bummer.
Even
Um,
better.
so I don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring in this game. I think if Carolina wins, it's 17-10. But my top five bet of the week is Alvin Kamara's over at 61.5 rushing yards.
Oh, you got the
Carolina
rush. Nice.
Yeah,
Carolina can't stop the run.
that's such a good line, and Kamara's going to just blow shit up.
And you've got a beaten up quarterback. Actually, I think Derek Carr being in is probably better for Kamara's rush. So I think they're going to try to rely on their natural advantage, which is beating the shit out of Carolina on the ground. Um, and I think Kamara is the best top shelf option this week in DFS. The Saints run at the second highest rate inside the 10, and Kamara's tied for fifth in rushes inside the 5 with 11. I once again don't mind Adam Thielen this week. If you're going to be bold, he beats man coverage, man. The Saints play man coverage a lot, but one of my two legs this week of my parlay is Jonathan Mingo over 34.5 receiving yards.
Mingo's been showing last
Mingo,
couple of weeks.
the new coaching staff has uh, taken the baseball cards out of the spokes of the bicycle that is Jonathan Mingo over the last couple of weeks,
Yes,
and now he's running smooth. And his line's 34.5. And look, last week, Carolina they had 26 targets. Mingo had 10 of them. They are trying to get the ball to Jonathan Mingo to develop him and build that chemistry between him and Bryce Young. So that's another like smaller line that I like. But most of all, we're going with that Kamara rushing yards. Do you have more you want to follow up on that with, Waleed?
No, I think you got it covered nicely.
All right, let's slide into a game that was supposed to actually be a weather game, but I don't think it's gonna be anymore. I think it's just cloudy and cold, so not a weather impact game.
No,
Is
I
New
think
Houston
England
against
Patriots
all
Tennessee?
meatballs.
all that stuff pushed through is going to be on the East Coast now.
Okay, so the Bengals are 1.5 point home favorites. Colts road win is plus 114 on the money line, and the line's 43.5. Waleed, got anything?
I do not have anything in this game particularly, but one thing I will say that I was kind of looking at was Gardner Minshew at 226.5. That over seems pretty decent actually for
Yeah.
him. This is a good matchup for Minshew, and it is worth noting that I want to make sure I'm saying this right. Yeah, in his last two games, he's hit that number pretty easily. Like he's been getting some yards, and those are both good receiving matchups. This is also a good matchup actually for Minshew, so I could see that happening. Having said that, I'm not fully on board with it. I also 73.5 for Michael Pittman. It didn't make my top five better the week, but I'll be honest, it's a fucking great play. Like
It is.
I love that play.
Okay. Ryan, what do you got?
Let's see. So this is a really good matchup for Zach Moss at 73.5. Bengals are allowing 4.8 yards per rush. That's 31st in the NFL. And they rank 26th in run stop win rate this season. Um, let's see. Yeah, so I do like Zach Moss at 73.5, but let's see what we got here. Does Pittman go for another 100-yard game? You know what? Yeah, I'm putting in Pittman alternate receiving 100-yard game plus 225.
Ooh,
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. This game's going to be close. I think this game is going to be somewhat of a shootout because of how well these teams are playing and Browning coming off that really good week last week. He's not going to have, I don't think he's going to throw for over 300 yards like he did last week, but I think this game's going to be close. The Colts have 4 straight games where they've covered against the spread, and the spread is so close that that means a Colts win is most likely. So I'm going to take the Colts to win in this one.
So I
Okay.
think it's worth noting too with Michael Pittman, lined up out wide, he's averaging 11 targets per game. Like he's averaging 13 targets overall. Based on my usage model over the last 4 weeks, Michael Pittman is probably
Mhm.
the best receiver that like this week. He didn't make
Yeah,
my top pick, but he's a guy that's just going to be a monster. I'm
he
excited
is.
for him.
Um, so I have a couple things in this one. Um, let's talk. Let's talk Colts first. The other leg of my parlay with Jonathan Mingo's receiving yard prop is a Zach Moss anytime touchdown.
Like it.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
he got eight touches inside the 10 last week. Like he played all but 4 snaps. He is the centerpiece in Cincinnati. They're like a slightly above average matchup for running backs, but with that usage, I'll take slightly above average compared to like Keaton Mitchell, who has like a great matchup but a smaller workload.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, um, I have some interesting stuff that I dug up here for you guys. Of all the quarterbacks that are playing this week, Jake Browning throws to his first read at the highest rate. He
Not
throws
surprising.
to his first read 74.4% of the time. Um, since Browning took over, here's the number of each receiver's first read targets. Jamar Chase, 15. Tyler Boyd, 8. Tanner Hudson, 7. And in one game, T. Higgins, 3.
Okay.
Um, now, the the Colts are in zone more than anyone else in the league, and they're not great at it. And Chase was already earning like a 26% target rate versus zone. So I threw a little action on Jamar Chase over 7 receptions. I don't know about the yardage, but I know they're gonna work the ball into his hands as much as possible. I got plus 102 on that for his alternate reception line. Um, however, my friends, I'm on a roll with the Millionaire Challenge, so I had to invest $72.40 in one bet this week. And I set a hard line at 130. I'm not going to do anything below 130. And I
Okay.
found one at 122 that I love, and it's Tanner Hudson over 2.5 receptions.
Oh no. Tony's reign is coming to an end.
We'll
That's
see.
funny that you say that. Um, Tanner Hudson has had 4 or more catches in every one of his last 5 games. Indianapolis is a defense that tight ends can beat. And if this game is going to be high scoring, which I think many of us believe it will, Tanner
Sure.
Hudson's going to need to be a part of that offense. And even if it's low scoring, 2.5 receptions is low enough that it could hit in a game that ends up being 10-7.
Yeah, the last time he's had less than 4 catches is October.
Yep. So I don't expect him to get 6 or 8, but 3 is already lower than what he's been doing for the last month and a half. So 2.5. That is my millionaire bet of the week. So I'm putting down $72 to win 131.
I'll be
Now,
honest, like I'm kind of impressed that you pulled that because I never would have guessed those numbers for Hudson. I was kind of like, why is he going Tanner Hudson? And then you explained it, and I just looked, and I'm like, damn, what a good pull.
so you know what's actually made me a sharper fantasy player this season is the golf league,
Oh,
because there were a bunch of guys in the golf league that I picked up because I thought they were going to get one catch for 8 yards. And then it's like, well, shit, he went 4 for 40.
yeah,
Like Josh Downs was one of those guys where you're like, yeah,
True.
he might get 2 or 3 passes, but no, he's doing well. Tanner Hudson was one of those guys.
Yeah.
So um, Tanner Hudson is someone that I think is a great play this week, which is really fucking weird to say. But that first read target rate I think was super telling for me.
yeah.
Um, And that's why I like Chase's receptions too. I don't know about the yards, but I like the receptions. All right. Let's move on. We are going Jacksonville at Cleveland. Cleveland, 3-point home favorites with Joe Flacco, who's just been announced, has moved up from the practice squad. A
Oh,
Jags
he moved
road
up
win.
last week, didn't he? Or
Well,
did they
yeah, but
move
they
him
put
back
him. They
up?
moved him
Yeah,
back. They moved
he
him
played
back to the
last week. Yeah, they put him down to the practice squad thinking DTR would be back, but now DTR is still with concussion, right?
Correct.
Is he getting the Daryl Henderson treatments? What? How
No, they're gonna keep
disrespectful!
Flacco. Yeah,
You're so disrespectful to elite talent like Joe Flacco. I'm
he
gonna
is
just take
truly
the reins
elite.
here because Joe Flacco is my top 5 bet of the week here. I want to
Okay.
point out his line at 193.5 is criminally low. For the amount of attempts, he had like 44 pass attempts last week, and he's going up against a Jacksonville defense that is giving up. I wanted to say it was top 5 fantasy points to the quarterback position. Top
Fourth and
3.
yards.
Yeah, 5th in yards
Uh,
and
yeah,
3rd overall in fantasy points. Joe Flacco for DFS is also a great cheap option, I think, this week.
I
So I'm
agree.
I'm all in on Joe Flacco. 193. I thought the line would be like 220, 230 or something like that.
right.
But Joe Flacco, if you watch the game, he can still sling it. Like the fact that he had to join the practice squad midway through the season, kind of insane to me when you see some of the trash that's out there at quarterback.
Right.
So
Do you got anything else, or are you just riding? Well, there's not a lot of player lines, but
there aren't a
Uh,
lot. There's not any lines really up, which is unfortunate because what I wanted the Elijah Moore line because I think
that's
his
what I was just
reception
gonna
and his
say.
receiving line
If
are
whatever Elijah Moore's lines come out, with the receptions and the yardage, I'm
take the
betting the
over.
over on both of those.
Yeah,
Elijah Moore had like 12 targets last week and on like what 7 or 8 catches,
yeah.
something like that with Flacco because of his experience playing with the Jets. Um,
I got one for you real quick. Of Elijah Moore last week had the most air yards in a single game of any wide receiver in any game this season.
so
Yeah.
awesome.
Sorry, Ryan.
And
Go
the
ahead.
I and it's a sad day for my Jaguars because I have a feeling the whole reason they're playing around with this Lawrence starting is because their chance to get into the playoffs. And this is not a good week for Lawrence to play. Number one, if they want to try and get in the playoffs, he's gonna have to stay healthy. And if he plays this game, he's just gonna hurt and be out the rest of the year. And I know the Browns are really good. And it's a sad day because they're probably going to win this game.
Yeah.
The Browns are 8-1-1 against the spread in their last 10 games following a loss. And Jaguars lost Kirk. That Washington kid looked really good, though.
He did.
Yeah, you do.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but obviously the person who won the Millie Maker in last week's contest had Washington in their lineup.
Really?
Uh,
Wow.
yeah. I looked that up because I was like, I wanted to
Wait,
see.
but that was a Sunday night game.
It was a Monday night game.
Monday night game. How could it have
Is
been
it
a
my?
Millie Maker? Oh, is it just a Monday
Well,
night Millie
It
Maker?
yeah, it
yeah,
was.
I
It
think
was.
yeah.
I think it was the $9, single game tournament.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, they won like 300,000 or 500 grand or something like that.
Sheesh.
Yeah, as Washington as their you know, uh, 1.5 times point guy, their MVP.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but yeah, but yeah, all I got in this, like Waleed said, is once those Elijah Moore lines come out, I will be hammering those. You know what? I'll a 3-leg parlay right here. Flacco's over yards
Okay.
and the more receptions and yardage. Right there.
I was
I'm
thinking of doing
betting
one of
that.
those myself.
Yeah, as soon as that comes out. Hopefully
Okay.
it's tonight, before the odds start getting messed around with people betting it, but we'll see.
Yeah. I'm sweating those lines really hard.
I have nothing in this game. All right, moving on.
Yeah.
Wait, I did have nothing. All right.
Yeah.
Next up, my TH Fantasy shits to riches game of the week. Tampa Bay going to Atlanta. Atlanta are 2.5-point home favorites. A Bucks road win would be plus 108 on the money line, and the total's 40.5. Ryan?
I don't have too much in this game. Let's see. Yeah, not a lot. Um, I think this game's gonna be pretty close, and I agree with Tony that the game script could potentially lead to a shootout. I think Mike Evans has another good game. I will be taking the Buccaneers to win. I put 14 out of my 15 points in the confidence pool this week. The Buccaneers are 5-1 against the spread on the road,
Okay.
despite losing 4 of those games. Um, so the spread is really close, so that's why I think the Buccaneers end up winning. But other than that, I don't have too much on this game.
All right. Waleed.
I do not have anything on this game, but I do. I will say that I love what you have in this.
Yeah, I got some things, my friends. I am all about Drake London this week. All right.
He just
Um,
missed a cut for me this week.
I have a lot of faith in Drake London, so I actually got his line at 46.5, and now it's at 47.5.
Yep.
So I would hop on that as soon as possible because I think people are starting to wake up for it. Um, so let me talk to you a little bit about the home and road splits for Drake London and Desmond Ritter. When Desmond Ritter is on the road, he throws for 146 yards a game, and when he's at home, he throws for 231 yards a game.
Ooh.
Uh, Drake London on the road averages 3.3 catches for 35 yards. When Drake London is at home, he averages 5.2 catches for 72 yards. I don't know if you guys have seen Tampa Bay's pass defense. Bad, folks. It's bad. It's
Yeah,
god awful.
they give up the third most yards to wide receivers.
Do they ever?
Yep.
So even Drake London's like yearly average yards per game is 52. He's got a plus matchup at home. And so Jamal Dean, who chased him around in their first matchup, Jamal Dean is not playing this week. So I think it's a Drake London feast week.
I hope so.
And I think it's also a Mike Evans feast week. Mike Evans third in the NFL in end zone targets. He's third in expected fantasy points per route run based on the defensive efficiency and alignment of Atlanta. The fantasy point status suite brought that to us. So I actually have even kicked around the idea of doing like a London Evans and Cade Otton receiving overplay, just for a couple bucks, just kind of see
Okay.
how it goes because this is also a smash Cade Otton matchup.
Well, did
Um,
you put those together to look at the odds yet or no?
yeah, so if you put London at 47.5, Otten at 24.5, and Evans at 76.5 altogether, you're getting plus 518.
Ooh, that's really nice.
Kate Atton's
I
my
agree.
number 2 receiver of the week. What's this
Of
thing
the
close?
week. So Tampa Bay Atlanta, that's a game that like I said could go one of two ways. I think it could either be a total dumpster fire shit show, or I think it could be super fruitful to target, especially in DFS. Um, let's move on. We're going Detroit. They are coming to Chicago, the Windy City, which is the original nickname was Blowtown, and now it's Windy City. Uh, Detroit, like I said, they're 3-point favorites. A Bears upset is plus 142, and the line's 42.5. Waleed, start us off.
So is it supposed to snow tomorrow?
No.
No, I
No,
thought the weather was
we
supposed to
we
be
actually
bad.
well, earlier in the week they were saying we're supposed to get snow Sunday, but then we got all this rain last night. So I think that's the front they were talking about. And it says
Yeah.
it's supposed to be clear tomorrow, but it's gonna be cold, 33.
Well, regardless, my number 1 bet of the week is going to be. I got my number 1 bet of the week in my top 5 bets. I got my same game parlay, and I got my Millie bet in this game because the one thing I like doing is like Jahmyr Gibbs receiving over versus the Chicago Bears pat like pass defense against running backs is just a smash play.
Sure.
The line was 25.5 when it opened. It's already at 28.5 because everyone's realized that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have that. He had 49 yards last time he played the Bears. I missed my Millie bet last time by 1, but I'm doubling down on that. I'm gonna go Jahmyr Gibbs at 50 receiving yards to get. I'm also resetting my win last week. I'm just going back to $10, taking it plus 360 to win $46. Uh, my same game parlay, I got Jameer Gibbs, adjusted line of over 40 yards, over 3.5 receptions, and an anytime touchdown. So I'm a big fan of I'm a big fan of this game, like hitting its over. I think this is going to be a lot of scoring. Another
Okay.
bet that I
I
do not have, it didn't make my top five, but really needs to be considered. Justin Fields over 62.5 rushing yards against the Detroit
yeah.
Lions. I mean, no one gives up more running yards to rushing quarterbacks than the Detroit Lions. Justin Fields, he had like 100 yards against them last time, right?
Sure
Over
did.
100.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, this is such a smash play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ryan.
I love this game. This was my TH Fantasy Shits to Riches game of the week. Um, let's see. These two teams played each other a couple weeks ago. Was 31-26.
Yeah.
So I'm smashing the over. And yesterday was at 43.5, and they just lowered it to 42.5. So smashing the over at 42.5. Just because these guys both defenses give up a lot of points. I'm hesitant to bet anyone on Detroit rushing just because how well the Montez Sweat has really
Bears got a
turned
top
that
five run
rush.
defense right now.
Yeah, right. How well they've turned that rush defense into a better unit, but their pass defense is still bad. So that's another reason why my over at 42.5 is the one of my top 5 bets of the week. Also, I am seeing a Laporta over 4.5 receptions as well. I feel like this game is going to be another close one. Goff's going to have to pass. With that rush defense, it's going to be a lot of short passes. I think Laporta's going to at least have 6 or 7 catches, and who knows? Maybe he has another 100-yard game. Um, but those are 2 of my top 5 bets of the week from this game. I also did a same game parlay 3-leg where I used my 25% profit boost for tomorrow. I got
Yeah.
Laporta's over 4.5 receptions, the over on the game, and DJ Moore's over 5.5 receptions. DJ Moore had a pretty good game a few weeks ago. I think he had like 75 yards and a touchdown. Um, and it just when Fields is playing, he looks for him. So 5.5 seems low. I would have thought that it would have opened up at like 6.5, just how well he's been doing. So I'm exploiting that 5.5 reception line and going over.
Okay.
That makes with the 25% profit boost, that's plus 510 to win a little over $30. And yeah, this game's gonna be real fun to watch, I think, tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, I think people are like treating the line like the Detroit Lions pass defense is better than it is, and it's been a dumpster
Right.
fire the last month. I didn't mention the odds on my Jameer Gibbs. This is the same parlay I did that one a few back when the Bears played the last time. I did 10 units on it. I also used the
Oh,
profit boost to get plus
it's the same
588.
same one?
Yeah, the exact same bet that won. Jameer
Oh
Gibbs,
wow.
like I like my parlays to always. There's a reason I'm the parlay king. All right, because I like to keep him on single outcomes. If Jameer Gibbs has over 4 catches, he's probably going to have 40 yards. If he has 40
True.
yards,
It's true.
I mean,
There's
look,
blood on his hands.
that's the only that's how royalty works. All right.
um. So I got some stuff for this game. I have my same game parlay for the week is in this game. It's first legs Justin Fields over 60.5 rushing yards. Since he's come back from injury, Fields has averaged 11 rushes per game, and I don't know if you've seen him, but that's going to equal a lot of yards.
Yes, it is.
Um, Over the last 2 seasons against mobile quarterbacks, the Lions give up an average of 15.8 fantasy points just on the ground to mobile quarterbacks.
That's an insane number.
Yeah.
Um, so Detroit is league average in man and zone, but I don't know if you guys have seen DJ Moore when he's playing with Justin Fields. He's averaging like I think it's 90 something yards a game. So I took his adjusted receiving yardage over at 70, played a little safe, paired that with Fields over 60.5 rushing yards, and then I also got in on the Jameer Gibbs receiving yards line at 25.5 early. So um, I got that at plus 589, so $10 down would bring me back $68.91. I'm all about
Love
it.
it.
So, this game, I think this game's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to watch this game as well. And let's hope that it is a high scoring banger so we all get paid.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Agreed. And like DJ Moore, over the last 4 weeks, if you look at receiving splits, he projects to be the number 3 receiver from a usage standpoint of the week. So
Of the
this
week.
is like DJ Moore is such a great play.
Yep. All right. Next up, we have Houston going to play the Jets. The Texans are 3.5 point road favorites. A Jets home win plus 154, and the line's 32.5. Ryan, start us off.
All right. I don't have a lot in this game because I think this game's going to be a shit show. As we alluded earlier, this is another East Coast game in the Meadowlands,
This is shits to
and
shits.
they're supposed to get in a 24-hour period somewhere in some spots could be over 3 inches of rain.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a run fest. I am the only bet I have and that I'm going to make from this game is the under. It's juiced to the over, but guys, um, the unders for the Jets have hit in the last. They're 5-0-1 on unders in the past 6 games, and the Texans have gone 3 straight games hitting the under. And with this weather, it just seems like another. I know it seems low for a Texans team, and I think this is where C.J. Stroud's passing numbers start to head back toward the mean in the bell curve. I know he leads the NFL right now with over 3,500 passing yards, but I don't think he's going to have very much in this game tomorrow. Um, let's see. Oh, a really interesting stat. So there's 3 rookies have led the NFL in passing yards since 1933, when individual player stats were first tracked. All right, so Stroud, like I said, leads the NFL with 3,500 passing yards right now. The 3 quarterbacks that have led the league in passing yards were from the 1930s decade. All right. Davy O'Brien, 1939, Sammy Baugh, 1937, and Harry Newman in 1933.
Household
So
names.
we are watching a little bit of history with Stroud here right now. But get ready for someone to overtake that this way. Who's close, right? Is anyone even close to that right now?
I
I
couldn't
would,
tell you. What
yeah,
I can
Yeah.
tell you is over their last 3 games,
I don't know.
the
Gotta
Houston
be
Texans are
close.
averaging 21 points a game scored. So they are not scoring at the rate they were earlier in the season. And those were against I think that was against like the Cardinals and the Broncos too. It's not like they had tough
Right.
defensive matchups, and the Jaguars too. Teams that you can that have susceptible defenses to the
Oh yeah.
pass.
So
So
Tua will probably overtake that this week, especially if this game script looks like I did. Tua's at 34.57, Josh. So he's less than 100 yards away from leading the NFL right now.
and
So, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, and on the flip side of that, the New York Jets are basically begging Zach Wilson to come back at quarterback, which
Right.
tells you when you're begging Zach Wilson to be your quarterback, things have gone horribly, horribly wrong. Like this under is probably one of the strongest plays of the week,
Yeah,
especially when a
that's why
line is
it's one of
this
my
low. The
top 5
under tends to
bets.
hit.
So,
Yep.
um, I want to point out something that doesn't affect us this week, but it's something to look forward to next week. I'm just going to assume that this game is going to be a wet, shitty mess. And for people that live on, looking at numerical averages, this is going to be an aberration to hopefully ignore going into next week. Houston plays the Titans next week. And next week, your number one wide receiver of the week should be Nico Collins, by the
I was
way.
gonna say that's what it sounds like to me.
Um,
Right.
I don't mind Damian Pierce if this game is a run fest because the Jets can be run on, but I'm starting Damian Pierce in my big money league this week and I'm not happy about it.
Yeah,
But I want to point out in 3.5 games without Tank Dell, Nico Collins has run 130 total routes. On those routes, he has a 35% target share. He gets 45% of his team's air yards, and over 130 routes, he has 82 PPR points.
ooh,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys knew this. I rewatched that game from last week. He dropped a touchdown. He could
yeah.
have had more.
Really?
Yep. Nico left meat on the bone last week, which is crazy because he was like receiver 2 or whatever.
Yeah, and like he had like 180 yards.
Right. I know. Katie was like, "Oh, this guy's kind of sucking for me this week, but that's okay. I started Nico Collins." And Ryan and I were like, "Go to hell." All right. Let's move on. We got a rematch from 2 weeks ago. We've got Seattle going to San Francisco. San Francisco 13.5 point home favorites. A Seahawks money lines win would be plus 560, and the line's 46.5. Ryan, start us off.
So this game has my millionaire bet for the week. Um, I think Vegas agrees with me. Um, because the odds for Christian McCaffrey to have 2 touchdowns is only plus 135. That is the lowest I think I've ever seen it.
Yeah,
Normally it's around 250, 270. Um, I'm hesitant to bet the 3 touchdowns. It's plus 550. I really should just to try and get ahead of Tony, but you know what? I got to get a win here, and I haven't won in a few weeks, so I need to get back in this shit. I feel like 2 touchdowns is easily attainable, and Vegas thinks so too.
I mean, you're still
Uh,
getting that's still a great price for 2 touchdowns for
right,
Christian McCaffrey.
right.
You know what? Let's take a quick look here.
I think that Frisco wins this game, but I think it's going to be closer than when they played each other earlier in the season. Um, let's see. The 13.5 point spread, I might I might put it on the plus 13.5 for Seattle. I think this is gonna be close. Seattle is 52-34-2 against the spread as underdogs with Pete Carroll. That's a 605 covering percentage.
Sure.
Um, this game should be pretty good, and it's gonna be fun to watch. I hope it's really high scoring. Um,
So I want
but
to throw out how many 2 touchdown games does Christian McCaffrey have this year? What do you guys think? Because I just looked it up and I'm kind of
this
surprised by this
just
number.
this year.
Yeah, just this season.
2.
All right, so we've played 13 games
Yep,
or 12 games. 3.
four.
He's got
Nice.
4?
He's got 4 2 touchdown games or more.
There's why you're only getting those odds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
the 30,
Seattle's
33% of the
since
time he gets
Seattle
it. If anything, I think those
yeah,
odds are a little bit low. I feel like you should be getting at least plus 200, but the
Right. If he's
matchup
doing that
also
in a third
dictates
of his
why it's
games.
lower.
right.
Right.
Seattle's horrible against the run, so
Yeah, that's what it is.
All right.
but yeah,
Waleed?
Tony?
Yeah, I got nothing, man.
Yeah, right.
Um,
This game isn't like I did say when I saw the 2 touchdown bet, I was like, oh, Ryan's going chalk here.
yeah, because like I'm so sick of getting burned by San Francisco pass catchers.
That's
Like,
what I said at the beginning of the season when I was drafting fantasy guys. I'm like, I don't mind getting Kittle because tight ends are always going to be fluky, but I don't want to have to pick between Ayuk and Debo because I'm going to be wrong half the time, and I'd rather not have that headache. In hindsight, I wish I had just taken one and like because the big weeks would have made up for the like low weeks, and I think that like I kind of get what Zachy was saying with that, and that was a mistake on my part.
so I have a question for you guys. Between Debo or Ayuk, which one of these receivers do you think is eighth in the NFL in fantasy points per route run?
which receiver in the NFL
Between Debo
what?
or Ayuk, which one is the one that's tied for eighth in fantasy points per route run?
I honestly think it might be
It's
Debo.
got no, I didn't say you
It's fucking both of them.
they're tied.
That's
They're tied with each
awesome.
other.
God,
Um,
that's a
so have fun figuring that shit out.
yeah.
Um, I actually don't think DK Metcalf is a bad play this week.
No, he's
Um,
not.
Okay.
He's never a bad play though.
right. DK is top 25 in fantasy points per route run against both man and zone. He gets 32% of his team's targets when he's going against man coverage, which, by the way, very smart. But
Yeah,
for a guy like DK Metcalf, he should be at like 50%. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Hey, you're in man coverage. Go beat this dude's ass.
And honestly, 59.5 as a line is not a bad line for him.
It's
Like you,
not.
yeah.
It's not. I worry because it's Seattle and it's San Francisco and who
Well,
knows.
I've seen
But
I've
Right.
seen Gino in this situation against that kind of a pass rush. He's going to be throwing ducks, and it's going to be
yeah,
like Debo will either have 100 yards or he'll have 12 yards. And I'd rather not
exactly.
take the chance against like a good matchup like this. But like
Exactly.
on that line, like he's hit. I mean, he's had over 90 yards in 3 of his last 4 games. He's
Yeah.
hit that line one, two. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He would have hit that over in 7 of his 12 games this season. But
Right.
there's, but I don't feel like there's a good enough edge taking DK Metcalf that makes it worth betting.
I also don't think Seattle's offensive line is going to hold up long enough against Bosa and Chase Young to give
No,
Geno Smith the time to get DK the looks that he needs.
agreed.
Sure.
Um, all right, so let's move on. We got a fucking clash of titans here in Vegas on Sunday. We've got Josh Dobbs and Aiden O'Connell as the Vikings visit the Raiders. The Vikings are 3.5 point, or no, just straight 3 point road favorites. A Vegas home wins plus 138, and the line's 40.5. Waleed, start us off.
So I don't really have any bets in this game specifically, but what I will say that I'm kind of interested in. I want to know what a defensive touchdown line for the Vikings would be. Plus 700 is an interesting bet. Because the Vikings blitz at the highest rate in the NFL. Blitzing that rate versus a rookie quarterback, I feel like is a recipe. Like I'm a big fan of the Vikings this week as a defense. I think they got to be one of the top fantasy defensive plays. But I'm not really touching anything in this game.
Okay, Ryan?
I'll bet the under in this game.
Yeah, I was.
But
I said that, then I was like, I would probably take the under here.
here you go,
What?
Waleed.
The way you
Unders.
say that, the way you said that, Ryan, was like you're the guy we're all sitting on the couch high, and someone has to go pick up the food we ordered. You're like, I'll go get the under on this game. That's
Yeah.
fine.
The unders and Raiders games this year, 9-3, 8-2 in
Okay.
the last 10, and 4-1 in the past 5. Um, also, another reason to smash that under. Let's see.
Justin
Yeah,
Jefferson.
Dobbs has. I know Justin Jefferson is back, but Dobbs. Let's see, 5 interceptions and a fumble in the past 2 games. Raiders defense, and depending on your fantasy scoring, is gives up between like the 10th and 14th fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks right now. Um, I don't think this is going to be a very high scoring game. Um, One interesting touchdown bet, Devontae Adams. He's got 4 straight games with a touchdown against the Vikings. One shy of Greg Jennings. He had
Greg.
5 straight. He had 5 straight from '09 to 11. Uh,
Damn. Okay.
just
Waleed.
interesting little stat, but I don't have too much on this game.
Sure.
No, I already covered it. Like
Okay.
Oh wait,
Oh
I
yeah.
might look at
sorry.
it defense. Yeah.
I forgot about my Michael Mayer, my TH fantasy
Oh, that's true.
kind of shitty tight end of the week.
That's
I've
right.
got him at over 2.5 receptions. I think that's pretty easy for um, these teams that are gonna have to throw on a lot on second and third down.
I think
Yeah.
also with the way that he's going to be blitzed, he's going to have to get rid of the ball early, which means like dumping
Yeah,
off that tight end.
Yep. I actually don't mind Alexander Madison's over at 47.5 rushing yards.
Oh yeah, no,
Vegas.
against the Raiders.
Yeah. There's no Ty Chandler line, or I would also be looking at that. Um, I don't have a ton of confidence in Alexander Madison or a ton of confidence in this team as a whole. So that's a line I like, but I don't know if it's a line I'm gonna bet. Um, I don't want
okay,
any Alexander Madison in DFS because Minnesota throws the ball inside the 10 at the second highest rate in the league. When they're inside the 10, they throw the ball 70% of the time.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's There you go. There you go. There he is. Um, yeah, I this game is the dud of the late afternoon window. It's Seattle, San Francisco, Vegas and the Raiders, Denver and the Chargers, and then the Bills and Chiefs. Like this one's the dud. This
Yeah.
is the game that I'm hoping goes the longest out of all of them, so that like we can keep it on red zone for the end of like the Bills Chiefs game.
Yeah. And then just be done with this game.
Right. All right, so let's be done. Let's move on. We're going Denver visiting the Chargers. Chargers 2.5 point home favorites for some reason. Denver plus 128 on the money line, and the line total points 43.5. Waleed, start us off.
Yeah, I would
Or no,
say it's
sorry.
not
Yeah, go ahead.
just
Go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say it's not just some reason why they're I mean, Denver has been good. They're 5-1 in their last 6 games. There's a reason they're favored.
Yep.
Having said that, one of my this was a bet that I was considering making it to my top 5 bet of the week. It didn't quite get there. It was Gerald Everett over 28.5 receiving yards. Honestly, I still kind of like the play, but the guy I like even more that did make my top 5 bet of the week was Cortland Sutton at 58.5 receiving yards. He's the clear number one on that team, and the Chargers' pass defense against wide receivers is one of the worst in football. Cortland Sutton is Russell Wilson's favorite number one target, so I will take that, and I will be happy with it. The other bet, and I try not to do 2 bets in the same game because they're different teams. I'm going with it. Austin Eckler at 46.5 rushing yards. That line is so ridiculously low against the worst run defense in football.
Yep.
I mean, it's insane to me. And Kellen Moore likes to run the football. He likes having a balanced attack. So Eckler's going to get his, and I am here for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, 2 of my top 5 bets of the week are in this game. I think this is a game that's just great for fantasy.
All right. What do you got, Ryan?
All right, guys. So the Broncos are 6-13-1 against the spread in their past 20 road games. So what does that tell me? Chargers are going to be up most of this game, and Russell Wilson is going to have to throw. So I feel like Russell Wilson's pass yard line at 212.5 is pretty low. I think he'll have at least 250. I like his chemistry with Sutton, so I'll probably bet his over in yardage and his. They don't have any reception totals up yet, but I would like to look at his reception totals and look at Allen's totals. I think this game be could potentially go over the over. Yeah, that's true. 43.5. Um,
Yeah, I like the
but
over
yeah,
here too.
Yeah.
the most confident bet I do have would be that Russell Wilson 212.5 because I think the Chargers do win, but it's going to be a back and forth. Like the Chargers defense gives up like second or third most fantasy points to quarterbacks too. So,
Yep.
um,
The problem I had with the passing line is just that Russell actually this season isn't throwing for over 200 yards a lot, and it kind of made me a little itchy, even though the matchup was good enough. And if I was going to take a
sure.
bet, I liked the Sutton line more than I liked anything else.
Okay.
Okay. Um, so I also am over on the one of my top 5 bets of the week is Cortland Sutton over 58.5. He's had that in 3 straight games, and he's playing the Chargers. I don't know if you guys knew that. He's playing the
Yeah,
Chargers. They're really bad.
they're so bad.
And he, so the Chargers they primarily play zone, and they're bad at it. Sutton is top 20 in fantasy points per route run against the zone. 3 of his 4 touchdowns on the season have come against zone. So I love Sutton this week. Let me talk my Eckler shit real quick. Not only is Austin Eckler tied for second in the league in rushes inside the 5, he's got 13 of those. He actually has a higher explosive play rate in 2023 than he did in 2022.
You know, I have a question about that because I saw that PFF said 3 of his 4 touchdowns have come against zone. Sutton has more than 4 touchdowns on the season.
Interesting. Oh
He's got
no,
9
that's because
touchdowns.
it was an over a certain amount of weeks. It wasn't
Oh,
a
is that what
season
it
long.
was? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I
Sutton
was
has
looking at
9
that line. I'm
already.
like, what are they talking about?
Um Also, so yeah, Eckler's explosive play rate is wild when you consider that he looks like he's moving in slow motion out there. So that line at 46.5 that was the one that I was tempted to put as my millionaire bet. I was going to do like a 60 plus. Um,
Yeah.
I want to point out the Denver of all teams in football allows the highest yards before contact on rushing plays per attempt. So this is a get right game for the Chargers rushing attack, and I think Eckler is a smash play this week. All right,
Oh yeah.
we've got the Bills going to Kansas City. The Bills are 1.5 point road underdogs. Neither team has plus odds on the money line, and the point total is 48.5. Now I look at my friends Waleed and Ryan here, and I see two, maybe twin towers of football thought. So, Tower 7, Ryan, go first.
First off, I'm taking the Bills to win this game. Um,
Whoa.
yeah, the Bills are 6-0 outright after a bye under Coach Sean McDermott.
So motivational speaking.
Yeah. um, let's see. What else do I like here? Yeah, like I said, I like them to win. One of my parlays for this week is Buffalo, Baltimore, Frisco, and then the over in the Chicago Detroit game. That was plus 427.
Not bad.
What else I got? Um, oh yeah, Kincaid. Where's my Kincaid?
Where's my Kincaid?
Yeah, he's at 4.5 right now. Receptions, receiving yards, 36.5. I think I'm gonna bet the yardage total instead of the receptions. Um, I like Kincaid this week. Don't know what I think about Kelsey. It's been such a weird year for him.
Yeah.
Not betting anything with him. Um, but I don't have too much in this game, so Buffalo to win.
Okay. All right, Waleed.
I want nothing to do with this game.
Okay. And I, like the 9/11 Truth Commission, have decided to dig deep, um, and come up with nothing. So, I don't expect much out of this game. I will say the metrics actually looked pretty good for James Cook this week.
Yeah.
Buffalo's offense allows the fourth most yards before contact on a per run basis, and Kansas City allows the sixth most yards before contact. However, Nick Bolton comes back this week, and he's really good.
Yeah.
So I think those numbers go down. I think this game is a fun game. I don't know how to approach it as a better.
Yeah. I don't want to
Um,
bet it. I want to watch it.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
exactly. So let's just carry on. Also, my favorite part about the Sean McDermott article, sure, all the 9/11 stuff is fucking hilarious, but how completely psychologically broken the Chiefs made him.
Yeah.
Like after losing that game in the playoffs a couple years ago, that he just like completely short circuited as a human being. I love that for him. All right. Waiting all day. Sunday night. We've got the Philadelphia Eagles going to the Dallas Cowboys. Philly 3.5 point road favorites. The sorry, 3.5 point road underdogs. If they came into Dallas and won, it'd be plus 158 on the money line. Point total 51.5. Yes. Ryan, go first.
Ferg betting his line at 44.5 or 45.5. Sorry. Um, this is another game where I think it's going to be super, super crazy. Another game I want to watch more than bet on, but I do like the over 51.5. I think it's going to be like, I don't know, 34-31, something like that. Come down to the wire in the fourth quarter. I do like the Cowboys to cover and to win though. They're 8-2 against the spread as favorites this season, and 25-10 against the spread in the last 3 seasons. So, Cowboys to win.
Okay. Waleed?
Uh, I want to bet this game, and this is my second parlay of the week. Give me. I did an adjusted. I had a little fun with this one because I honestly think that Dak Prescott's going to go off, and I wanted a little more juice on this. I think I took Dak at plus 325 over on passing yards. Then I did CD Lamb over 110 receiving yards, along with an anytime touchdown. CD Lamb is going to have a monster game. I am all about this game. Last time they played, you know what was interesting too was hold on, I want to see what the actual lines were because the Eagles I think won last time, but Dak did have 333 passing yards, and CeeDee Lamb had a great game, and I think that's going to continue considering the Eagles have one of the worst pass defenses in football, at least from a yardage standpoint. So I'm taking that 10 units at 431 pays out $53.10. So I'm here for that. Like those were the
Okay.
two lines I wanted. I didn't feel good enough about them in my top 5 bets of the week, but it was worth giving it a try.
So I like CD. I like Dak. I also really like AJ Brown this week, you guys. I know this blowing your mind.
I mean, I
Um,
like AJ Brown every week.
so this is another game that I really am excited to watch, and I'm excited to watch AJ Brown specifically. Deku's in the chat. What up, Deku? CD's gonna crush this week. You are totally right. Um, here's the thing: Dallas is they play man to an extreme amount, and they're top 5 in fucking everything, you guys, everything. But
Yeah.
by the way, AJ Brown versus man is top 5 in everything, fucking everything. So it's strength on strength, and I'm really excited to see who comes out on top. AJ's receiving yards yesterday was like 78 and a half. It's gone up to 80 and a half. That with the line tells me they're expecting a shootout. I don't mind throwing a couple bucks on like CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Dak Prescott over, like, and then like total points over, and just betting for the stars, man. And just $2 for that might get you a good amount.
Okay.
Let me actually try to pull it up and see what it looks like. So we do the over.
Oh, I
We
love AJ Brown. Looking at this a little closer. Yeah.
we do passing yards for Dak. We do Lamb's receiving over, and we do AJ Brown's receiving over. Would get you plus 538.
Ooh.
So I'm just gonna throw $2 on that right now because I can, because this is America. Um, but this game, like, that's all I'm willing to invest in it because like I just want to sit back and watch good ball. Um, I do have it as my long shot play of the week for the Degenerates Gambit of Philadelphia upset because look, man, Philly, Jalen Hurts, you guys, he's been injured.
Yeah,
He's
this
been
isn't a
playing.
new thing.
He's been playing through a knee for a few weeks now. They are one game ahead of San Francisco for the top seed and one game ahead of Dallas for the division. So this game is a huge game for these guys because then that means they go 2 ahead of Dallas plus the tiebreaker in the division. And no one here expects San Francisco to lose. So Philadelphia to keep pace and get that extra week of rest for Jalen Hurts, I think
Yeah.
they're going to keep their foot on the gas.
Yeah.
All right, so that's that. That's going to be so fun. So let's talk about our Monday night doubleheader here. We're going to start with Green Bay and the Giants. Packers roll into MetLife Stadium, 6.5-point favorites. Giants home wins plus 245 through the grace of God and Tommy. And the point total is 36.5. Ryan, start us off.
Well, Miami's obviously going to win.
No, we're
So,
talking Green Bay.
We're talking Green Bay
oh,
Giants.
we're
Yeah.
talking. God
Yeah,
damn
I
it.
was surprised too because at my list it shows Miami ahead of
Yeah.
them. Hey,
Oh, you're right. That's my bad. Let's do Tennessee first then. Miami 13.5-point home favorites. And Tennessee win. It's not going to happen. It's plus 610 on the money line. The point total is 46.5. Ryan?
So, yeah, Miami's going to win. Let's see. Titans are not good on the road this year. They're 0-6 outright and 0-5 against the spread. Titans just aren't good in general. So I do like Miami where that line is at minus 13.5. I put together a little small parlay. I've got Tyreek Hill anytime touchdown, Tyreek Hill over 125 yards, and Tajay Spears over 14.5 receiving yards, plus 387. I'm gonna bet like $10 on that. Um,
Okay.
I like that narrative right now. Spears at 14 yards. They're going to be playing from behind the whole game. Um, I don't know how I feel about Derrick Henry this week, but and I don't know how I feel about these rushing lines either. I don't know if you guys got anything to say about that, but I think
Well,
I do.
I think I saw that Titans are missing their best defensive tackle,
oh
which
really?
is going to have a big impact on that rushing line. I find it interesting that Achan has the higher rushing line when
Yeah,
Mostert
right.
is getting the bulk of the carries. That 45.5 for Raheem Mostert feels like a mistake that I will probably exploit depending on how the rest of my week goes. But there's only one bet I care about this week. This is going to be a makeup bet. I went 0-5 betting on Tua, but my millionaire bets was on 150 yards for Tyreek Hill, and I should have had Tyreek Hill in my top 5 bets, so I could have at least gone 1-4. This is a makeup bet. I'm going 108.5. It's not really a makeup bet because Tyreek Hill is going to smash.
Right.
Yeah.
Like primetime Reek against that, he'll hit 150 again. Like the Titans are giving up the sixth most receiving yards to opposing, the sixth most yards to opposing wide receivers. Right, 4, 5, 6. Yep. And Tyreek Hill is his target share. It's just you just betting on Tyreek Hill is always a good thing. He'll get this in 2 plays.
Yeah.
Okay. I also want to point out to back up your point, Waleed, about the Miami run game.
Yeah.
Not only is Tennessee missing their best defensive tackle, but Miami is missing their best run stopping edge and their best run stopping linebacker. So,
Oh,
uh, Deku said in the chat it's a Tajay Spears week. I don't disagree. I think if first off, the first half is going to be all Derrick Henry, and can see Derrick Henry scoring. I think Derrick Henry's a lock for a touchdown. Um, Inside the 5, Miami allows a touchdown on 57% of all rushing attempts. So,
wow.
uh, I like that's second highest in the league. So I really think that Henry scores in the first half, and then once this game gets out of hand, I think it's a Tajay Spears week. I think Tajay is going to catch quite a bit. I think he's a great play. I also think that once this game gets out of hand, Tennessee is going to be like, well, there's literally no reason for us to keep a guy that was clearly concussed last week um, out there.
I mean,
So
it's questionable whether they should have kept him at all and just not traded him. So,
that's fair. All right.
uh,
So
I want
go
to
ahead.
point out because you said it, you think that Henry gets a touchdown in the first half. Anytime first half touchdown for Derrick Henry plus 320, that's a nice
Not
price if
bad.
you're just looking for anything because he's only plus 145 for the game.
Yeah, true. All right. So let's go to New York. Green Bay, like I said, they are visiting MetLife Stadium. They are 6.5 point road favorites. A Giants home wins plus 245, and the line's 36.5. Waleed.
So the thing that's annoying me here is we don't have a line yet for AJ Dillon
Yeah.
because we don't
Yeah,
know
it's
if
just
Aaron
yeah,
Jones is going to play. I will say, regardless of whether Aaron Jones plays, because last time he came back from injury, he didn't really play. I'm looking for that AJ Dillon line when it happens because I think his over, especially if Aaron Jones plays, his line will post probably lower than it should, and there's going to be value. If Aaron Jones is out, his line might be a little higher, but also he's going to get the bulk of carries. Regardless, I'm looking at the AJ Dillon over once it posts, but we're not going to get that until probably Monday once the inactive list,
sure.
or at least like when we have a better idea of what those reports say.
Okay.
Uh,
Um,
I like uh I like Jaden Reed or Romeo Dubs yardage. It's 41 and 43.
Don't bet those until I'm done talking.
Okay.
I got something for you.
yeah.
Are you guys good? Got anything else?
Well,
Oh yeah.
I do want to point out one other thing here too. The Saquon Barkley over 67.5 rushing is a decent line actually. I kind of want to see how it plays out, but even without Daniel Jones, Saquon's been getting rushing yards over in his last 5 games. He's had over 80 yards 3 of those 5 games. He had 66 yards in one of them. And then like last week against New England, which is actually a really good run defense, and Dallas also a good run defense. Those are the 2 times he hasn't hit. Whereas like the Packers, from a rushing yard standpoint, are giving up the 7th most rushing yards to opposing running backs. They're going to lean on Saquon, so 67.5 is not a bad line.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope, I'm done.
All right, here we go, baby. Jordan Love, 225.5 passing yards. He's been over that 6 games straight,
Yep.
by the way. So Christian Watson, we're assuming isn't playing, right? He doesn't have a line, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Okay. So Christian Watson was tied for the NFL lead in end zone targets with 15, tied for second. Um, he's their go-to man, right? And since he's out, let's talk about where stuff's going to split, because let me tell you why Jordan Love's going to smash this week. Over the last 5 games, Jordan Love is 4th in passer rating, 3rd in completions over expectation, and 8th in average depth of target. When he's under pressure, he has a 113.8 passer rating. And earlier this year, when he was under pressure, his passer rating was 54. So, that's good, right? That seems like he's doubling his efficiency.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this. The Giants blitz a lot. Like
Okay.
their Wink Martindale blitzes
Yeah.
constantly.
Wasn't it like 3-4 weeks ago they had like more than 10 in a game or something?
Mm-hmm. So, Love being good under pressure against the team that tries to manufacture pressure, to me, says potential for big moves here. So Jordan Love, of starting quarterbacks that are playing this week, remember we talked about how much Jake Browning throws to his first read? Jordan Love, second in how much he throws to his first read. 74.2% of his first reads is where he throws the ball. Now,
Really?
during this year, let's talk about whatever everyone averages in terms of first read targets. Jaden Reed, 4.6 first read targets a game. Luke Musgrave, 3.7 first read targets a game. He's out. Christian Watson, 5.4 first read targets a game. He's out. Romeo Dobbs, 5.3 first read targets per game. He's really bad at beating man coverage, and the Giants are in man at the second highest rate. Dobbs' completion or target rate against man is putrid. So there's one guy on this team that has been getting 2.6 first read targets a game, which is only going to go up since 9 of those targets are vacated by Musgrave and Watson being out. And that's Dontavian Wicks, my
Interesting.
friends. Dontavian Wicks ran 16 of the 39 routes last week. Christian Watson's out. They move him up. That's what they did against the Chargers. When Watson's not in or Watson's hurt, Wicks comes in. Now, among all Packers wide receivers, Dontavian Wicks leads all of them in yards per route run. He leads them all in yards per route run on first read targets. Have you guys been exposed to this term that's come up this year called the splash zone?
Is that like when they do the Super Bowl on Nickelodeon?
So,
Yeah,
Waleed, are you familiar with the splash
I'm
zone?
not. I'm not.
Okay, so the splash zone is defined as throws that are 15 or more yards down the field between the numbers.
That's
Because
right.
statistically catches that happen in that area result in larger yards after catch numbers, like drastically. And so Wicks is the number one splash zone target on this team. Of 83 wide receivers that have 35 or more targets, Wicks is wide receiver 7, and he has a 47.8 explosive pass play rate. Uh, they should, right. I don't have his yak in front of me, but I don't doubt that it does. Um, the Giants being the 6th easiest defensive matchup for wide receivers is huge for me. Dontavian Wicks over 31.5 receiving yards is something that I want to pair with AJ Dillon rushing and Jordan Love passing, and most likely a Packers, like, maybe I could get this up to like a 9.5 point money line. But that's something that when I'm rolling in money after the week's wins, that I'll probably invest in.
So
So,
let me.
I,
I want to throw something out here for you here, because
please.
if you look at the screen, I was kind of wondering about what you were doing here. If you did a alternate line for Dontavian Wicks over 60 yards, Jaden Reed over 60 yards, and Jordan Love at 250 passing yards, you get plus 1527.
And you should probably take the Packers to cover if you're gonna do that, right?
Oh, that's a good point, because what would that be with the cover? At minus 6.5,
Yep.
that makes it plus 3038.
So like if you're
Jeez.
once you get that nice bankroll from this weekend because you've been listening to us and we've been killing it lately, Monday night, Packers passing overs, Packers rushing overs, complete ass whooping.
$5 will pay out $151.90. I probably only keep it with the 4, just because I don't want to add rushing or anything. I like my outcomes tied together. And if
I would
Jordan Love
even
throws, huh?
go ahead. Sorry.
I would say if Jordan Love throws for over 250 yards and I get 60 plus yards from those two guys, I know the Packers are probably winning.
Sure. I mean, like, I wouldn't even mind teasing it down a little bit. You know what I mean? Where it's like
Yeah.
50-50, 225.
Let's just
And
do
to
the
win.
money line just for the hell of it here. Okay, that makes it plus 2,000, and it's just a straight up Packers win, so I don't have to stress it. I don't need
Yeah.
that much extra.
Right. So that's kind of where I'm at. So let's run through our bets of the week since we've covered all the games. As your commissar, I'm going to start with my top 5. And I'm going with Keaton Mitchell over 42.5 rushing yards, Drake London over 46.5 receiving yards, Alvin Kamara over 61.5 rushing yards, Austin Eckler over 46.5 rushing yards, Cortland Sutton over 58.5 receiving yards. Ryan, you went 3-2 last week. Go next.
That is right. All right. So we're taking the over on the Chicago Detroit game at 42.5. We're going with Michael Mayer over 2.5 receptions. We're going with Sam Laporta over 4.5 receptions on the day. We're going to take the under on the Houston and Jets game at 32.5. And then we're going to take the over on Keaton Mitchell's rush yards at 42.5.
Okay.
So I want to say real quick, were you looking for yards after the catch per reception, or he's averaging 6.17 yards after the catch per reception. His overall yak is 142.
Not bad.
Yeah, which
So,
out of 374 yards is not bad at all. That's like a
bro,
50% yak.
Waleed, your top 5 bets of the week.
My top 5 bets of the week. We got ourselves Jahmyr Gibbs over 28.5 receiving yards. Tyreek Hill over 108.5 receiving yards. Austin Eckler over 46.5 rushing yards. Cortland Sutton over 58.5 receiving yards. And Joe Flacco over 193.5 passing yards.
Okay. And so Parlay King, start us off.
All right. I'm running back this parlay that won last time the Bears and Lions faced. And that's a Jahmyr Gibbs anytime touchdown, over 40 receiving yards and 3.5 receptions.
Okay.
I also have. I know you guys just want to watch the Dallas Eagles game. I wanted to bet the Lamb line. I wanted to bet the Dak line, but I didn't want to do them individually, so I gave myself a nice little fun one, which is Dak over 325 yards passing, CeeDee Lamb over 110 yards receiving, along with an anytime touchdown. 10 units at plus 431 will pay out $53.10. The last one, 10 units at 588 will pay out $68.87.
Okay. Ryan, your parlays.
All right. So my money line parlay this week, I took Frisco, Baltimore, Buffalo, and the over on the Chicago Detroit game at 42.5. 5 units down at plus 427 to win 26 and some change. And then I did a 3-leg same game parlay from the Detroit Chicago game. I took Laporta's over 4.5 receptions, the over 42.5 on the game, and DJ Moore's over at 5.5 receptions. 5 units down at plus 510. It was like maybe like 387, something like that. I got a 25% boost on it to put it at 510 to win a little over 30.
Okay. And so my parlays of the week are I am doing my same game parlay is a Bears Lions parlay. I'm going with Justin Fields over 60.5 rushing yards, DJ Moore, 70 or more receiving yards, and Jameer Gibbs over 25.5 receiving yards. $10 at plus 589 would bring me back 68.91. My regular whatever parlay is Jonathan Mingo over 34.5 receiving yards and a Zach Moss tutty. As commissar, I am rolling my $72.40 over, and I'm going to let it ride, and we're going minus 122 on Tanner Hudson over 2.5 receptions. That would return me 131.74. Waleed?
Ooh.
I'm going Jameer Gibbs over 50 yards receiving. He missed it by a yard last time. I think he gets over the hump this week. I reset my money. I'm going back to $10. So at plus 360, that'll pay out $46.
Okay, Ryan?
All right. So I went with McCaffrey's 2 touchdowns or more bet, plus 135 to get me on the board and get me some money to win some more money next week to win a little 2350.
Okay, marvelous. Now let's talk about our DFS plays of the week. We are shifting into DFS mode.
Yeah.
Let's talk our plays of the week. Waleed, who's your quarterback play of the week?
So I have 2 of them. So if you want to save me for last, I can kind of flip.
Ryan, who's your quarterback play of the week?
Let's see. You know what? I have to go cheap in my lineup this week at quarterback, so I'm gonna go with Joe Flacco.
Oh,
Okay.
one quarterback down.
Waleed, why don't you go second then?
My quarterback of the week. My cheap play was Joe Flacco, but my guy that I love this week, I'm going with Justin Fields. I like a good rushing matchup for a rushing quarterback. I think he's going to have a good floor with a lot of
Sure.
big play potential.
Okay. My number 1 was Justin Fields. My number 2 was Joe Flacco. So I am going to pivot to my third, which is Russell Wilson.
That's a good one. I like it.
Nice.
Waleed, your running back start of the week.
My running back starter of the week is Austin Eckler, just because at 7,500 for his matchup, it's so cheap, and I think Austin Eckler is going to be. He's got RB1 overall potential this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Surreal.
That's funny.
That's so funny. Ryan, your running back start of the week.
I mean, I know, it's McCaffrey, but you're not gonna be able to fit him into a lot of lineups. So my secondary, Zach Moss.
I love it. My running back start of the week is Keaton Mitchell of the Baltimore Ravens at 5,900.
That's right.
Waleed, your wide receiver play of the week.
Well, since I got Justin Fields, my DJ Moore is going with it because I got a stack, and DJ Moore's like on my usage metric, he's the number 3 wide receiver over the last 4 weeks based on who he's playing. So I'm pairing that up, and I'm going to be real sad if I lose because that means the Bears will also lose, and it'll not be good.
All right. Ryan, your wide receiver play of the week.
Well, if I got Flacco, I gotta if I yeah, if I go Flacco, I gotta go Elijah Moore. So that's what I'm doing. At 6,200.
Okay. My receiver play of the week. I'm actually trying to I'm going to be a little thrifty here, and I'm going to go with Drake London at 6,400.
Love it.
Oh, I'll send you guys the lineup. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, I
I
definitely
Okay.
got an
love
I
hearing
got
that
an
one.
I got an interesting lineup.
Oh, you guys are going to cream your jeans when you hear mine. Waleed, your tight end.
My tight end is my number 1 tight end of the week. I love him. He is Gerald Everett.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, he was someone I talked about last night on TH Fantasy.
True.
My tight end, though this week, Michael Mayer at 4,900. He's going to be heavily involved in this game, I think.
Is Tony going Kate out in here?
Tony is going K. Dot here.
Of
I
course
knew
he
it.
is.
And it was my number 2 tight end. So
Yep. This is a K. Dot red zone touchdown week. Waleed, your defense.
My defense, I went this week. In my defensive streaming article of the week. This was my number 3 defense, and I said this is what you pick if you want a big play game. I'm going Chicago Bears.
Ooh,
Okay.
damn. Well, you
Chicago
know what?
Bears, over their last 4 weeks, are averaging 10 fantasy points a game.
Oh,
Okay.
really?
Yep.
Are-
Yeah, since Montez Sweat's
Right.
come back, the Bears defense is legit. They're the 3rd cheapest. It lets me spend money elsewhere.
Okay.
True.
Ryan.
I'm going with the Browns this week to make a Cleveland Browns, Elijah Moore, and Joe Flacco stack for this game. And I'm just betting on the fact that the Jaguars are going to be reasonable and not start Trevor Lawrence tomorrow. But even if Trevor Lawrence does start, he's so banged up that ankle is not
Yeah.
going to last the whole game.
And
So
Cleveland's pretty good.
Bad ankle
yeah,
versus
and
Myles Garrett is a
right,
bad idea.
right,
Yeah.
and right, and for
He's
some
elite.
reason, the Browns defense is only around 3,800 when they're generally between 43 and 47, depending on the week. So
Okay.
I
And
think
my
they
go
definitely
ahead.
mispriced them.
My streamer defense of the week is Minnesota.
Love it. Also in
Okay.
my defensive streamer article.
All right. So who's Waleed? No, Ryan, you have a DFS lineup already built, so tell us about it.
I do too.
Okay,
Yeah,
hell yeah.
so this lineup was, like I said, Flacco, Elijah Moore, and the Cleveland defense.
Okay.
I've got McCaffrey, I've got Moss,
Okay.
I've got DJ Moore, I've got Amon-Ra, I've got Michael Mayer, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Okay. Sure. Okay, Waleed.
So I got Justin Fields. I got to pair him with DJ Moore. My running backs, Austin Eckler and Keaton Mitchell. I got Elijah Moore also to go with Cortland Sutton as my 3rd receiver. Gerald Everett's at my tight end position, and I'm flexing Alvin Kamara to go with the Chicago
Okay.
Bears defense.
Correct. Waleed, unfortunately, and Ryan, there's a lot of crossover here, so there's no super exciting reveal here. My lineup is Fields, Keaton Mitchell, Austin Eckler, DJ Moore. My other receivers are Jamar Chase and Michael Pittman. My tight end is Kate Otten. My flex is Drake London, and my defense is Cleveland.
Okay. I like that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a really exciting lineup. There's a lot of
I mean,
if
look,
he doesn't go off this week, it's over for me
yeah. I mean,
specifically.
like Drake London will be fine next year. When Justin Fields is throwing to him, just look at what like DJ Moore did.
Sure.
That'd be optimal, yeah. All right, so I don't really think we have much else to address here.
Nope.
So good luck, everybody. Hopefully, this is a fruitful week. We will, as a show note, we won't be here next week.
Well, what we will do is we're gonna have an abridged show next week because my man Tony getting hitched, and so what we'll do is we're gonna do an abridged show. We'll run through the our top 5 bets of the week, our millionaire bet, and our parlays on Saturday. So you guys get those to me as soon as possible.
The over and under on
I
dead
expect
devs.
some kind of soap opera reveals.
So thank you guys, and I'll at least post my shit
How about
somewhere where people can see it.
yeah, I was gonna say I'll send you my bets, Waleed, and you can share
Yeah,
them.
we'll have the spreadsheet. You guys get it, and I'm just going to go through all of our bets that we have, so we have
Okay.
documentation of what we do.
Oh, you
Yeah.
got this. All right. So I think that's it, everybody. So happy fucking football, and go be fruitful and win some money, and then give it to me on my registry.
Let's get those monocles.
All right, everyone. Good night.